And we're recording. So today, guys, we got ourselves a guest, and we're missing Dara and Thomas. We got a different Thomas on today, but most importantly, we have a guest. So, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jack Settipane. I'm an American filmmaker and actor.
So, obviously, tell us a bit about that. What's it like in the States?
What's it? What'd you say?
I said, what's it like in the States being a filmmaker?
To be a filmmaker. Oh, you get laughed at when you're starting out. It's not a respected thing to go after. But once you make a way for yourself, suddenly everybody wants to know you.
Has that happened for you yet?
Sure, naturally. I get pitched stuff all the time. It's true what they say when you come out to LA, you don't really know who your friends are anymore. It's a really weird, weird place. Everybody's got an Instagram page, and whether they got 5,000 followers or 500,000 followers, they all do the daily, stories and self-promotion. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. You're most known for, or at least what we know you most for, is Last Call. Can you tell us a bit about your experience with that?
Yeah. Oh, geez. I became involved with Last Call, believe it or not, when it was already shot. It had already been shot, and it had been held up with some serious, issues, some legal issues. There were some debt issues, that we were overextended, and I originally invested in post-production budget, some money that was needed to finish the film. And, over time, the problems were so complicated, they weren't really able to take it anywhere. I ended up getting on a conference call with the director, Steven Bernstein, who's an amazingly talented man. I don't know if you've seen some of his works, Half Baked with Dave Chappelle, Monster starring Charlize Theron. What else did he do? The Waterboy he shot with Adam Sandler. Scary Movie 2. All these great films. It was funny that he just got wrapped up with some bad people who kind of abandoned the project. And I was able to provide a strategy, maybe move forward. He ended up signing the project over to me. And at that point I was a businessman in Rhode Island. And in about a year, I was actually able to solve all the problems and get the film some funding to finish and get into distribution.
Fair play.
Very fascinating stuff.
No. It's really interesting. Like, I'm just trying to take it in. It's like you're saying like big names to me, and I'm like, huh.
Big name.
So it's an independent film. It was privately funded. With a lot of them were some very 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 good people up in Canada who I know now, and there was a couple producers involved who ended up not being involved in the project anymore. That just we're not the best people, and all it takes is somebody at the top to screw something like that up. It's a very interesting process of film because it's not a real. It is a business and it isn't, right? I mean, for us, let's say it's a cookie startup. They sell cookies. To get to the point where you have $3 million in funding, you'd imagine, wow, they probably have their shit together, right? They have a CEO, a COO, a marketing manager, all this. To get to the point where they can get that type of funding, everything would be, prepared and ready to go to run functionally. Film's not like that. It's you have a great script, a great property, you get a good producer, good director, good actor, blah blah blah. Then you can go to private investors and get the funding. A lot of films get millions of dollars and they're not really set up the way a normal business would be. They're not, so it's kind of like a run and go type situation in independent filmmaking, up to when you're getting into the like $15-20 million films. Those are usually involving more, usually like established production companies and studios who do have that infrastructure ready to go. So a lot of films under $5 million can run into issues.
Yeah, I've known a fair bit of that happening in Or what directors I've known.
Yeah,
Not enough money, it just collapses. Or
God,
one guy messes something up and it just goes down.
yeah, sure. I
So
mean, filmmaking it's always it's for people who like pain. We joke around, it's there's always something that goes wrong. I haven't been on a set where there wasn't one major crisis that needs to be solved like that. And that's your job as producer to be able to step in and find a solution.
yeah. And now I guess you take on all parts. You're an actor, you're a
Yeah.
producer,
Mhm.
you're a writer, director, cinematographer, editor. I'm not going to read everything here. There's a
Why
lot to go through.
you've done too much research?
No, not just your IMDb page here as well.
Right? Yeah.
But I've checked other things out as well, or I've seen your acting reel and your cinematography reel. Like, you're doing great stuff.
Oh, you're
But
too kind. You're too
why don't you
kind.
specialize like with just one of them? Why you into everything? Or do you just love
Well,
being involved?
I have specialized. I don't think I've shot a film in years. I've definitely stepped away from cinematography. I'm much more focused on directing and acting right now. Although I've been producing is just I have a constant stream of work, and it's great. I love producing, but I got into this to be definitely in one of the more creative roles. So that's where I really find my passion. I've just had opportunities, and when you're getting started, you have to really come in as a multi-talented person. You definitely don't promote yourself as all those things. I don't come in and say that. I usually just say I'm a filmmaker and an actor, because filmmaker can cover production and directing. And early on, I did do some writing. I wrote a script for Gray Fredrickson, who's the producer of the Godfather series and Apocalypse Now. I did a pilot that never came out.
That's really
And
good.
did some other
Congrats
writing.
on that.
It just opportunities that came up, and because I did those opportunities, I met a lot of people that were important to building my career.
Yeah. And this is very unique about you. Your career started really early. Your first
You
short
think?
film was done at 11.
Yes, yeah,
Tell us all about
yes.
that.
That
Uh,
God, I gotta get that online somehow. That was that's probably the best one I've done. I've got to say, ever.
Congrats.
It's very well written, very well acted, as you can imagine. Um, no, I did a story. You know what? This is actually a funny story. I was apparently I came home and I said, "Mom, I got to shoot a film for school. I got a school project, this history project. It's got to be about Roman times." And she's like, okay. So we actually got the neighbors involved, and I created this film about a little life of a gladiator, right? And you can imagine how absurd it came out, but
Yeah.
it was somewhat informative, believe it or not, about some of the Roman culture. So apparently, I bring this into class, and then my mom hears I failed the assignment because I was actually supposed to write a paper. I don't remember that at all. I don't know what happened there. Got some wires crossed.
Lost in translation. But it was a
Sure,
start.
it's a start. That was how I got my first film, and then me and my cousins, we started making films. A lot of them, just joking around. But you learn a lot. You learn a lot. I mean, if you can get started in your teens, just messing around with your mates, and you learn a lot about, well, how does a story come together? What type of shots look best? What type of shots cut into each other? If you're gonna, some don't match up really, so you need to have a variety of them to see what looks right when you're editing. All those basic fundamentals can be learned just goofing around, but they come in handy much later when you're trying to do serious work.
Yeah. No, it's funny you said that, like messing around with friends, because I just turned 19, and as a big present, because I'm going to do filmmaking in Dublin, I got my first proper camera, and we've messed around with that fairly recently. Um, when you're doing it, do you normally have like an outside camera, or do you have your own one, like a DSLR? Oh, a DLSR.
What, back then or nowadays?
No, like what are you at the moment? Like what are you using?
What do I use now? Well, honestly, we usually use one of the higher tier Canon series, or yeah, usually that's what we've gone to in most of my short films. I just kind of like the look. A lot of people like the Sony A7, A8. Those can come out beautiful. They have 4K, and they're relatively cheap. Believe it or not, they're cheaper than the Canon. The Canon have a great, almost film-like look to them. They have a little bit of, it looks like film grain, and a lot of people really like that about the Canon series, even though they're a lot more difficult to use. They're not really as user-friendly. They're more for experienced cinematographers. But I've shot, I don't want to say like 7 short films on those, or been part of production with projects that had a Canon camera.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, I guess when you're in that line of business, you kind of pick your favorites.
Yeah, you always go with trying to find camera. Because some people think, oh, it's like you just get the best one, but really, there's like a tier. There's tiers, so every major brand has a camera on that tier, and you really, as you work with them, you see like, this I like this look better for this project. You might want to do a more grittier, grungy story on a Canon, or if you might want to shoot a documentary on the A series, or Sony A series, because God, it looks so clear. It looks so beautifully clear, and everything pops more, so that's more fitting for like a real true life story, like a documentary, I'd say. But you pick your flavors.
Oh, that's fair. Have any other filmmakers or any movies in particular influenced your style?
I don't. I was never one of the people who were like, God, I love this one director, or God, I love Spielberg, and go out and try to do my first film in Spielberg style. I think I've watched so many fucking movies that and I still watch. I watch way too much stuff, but you know what? I really do learn a lot watching, and it does inspire me a lot to watch really, really good TV and really, really good film. There's so many things to look for. You can't really see it all in one watch. Let's say you watch one episode. Well, you're going to focus on the acting, and then usually you have to pick one actor. You can only watch one actor if there's a group of 3 people talking. So you can see what they're doing, and then you can watch again and see what another actor's doing. Then you could look at the directing. Then you could look at the lighting. And you could watch through and see how they edited it, and learn a lot for all those different reasons. And I actually recommend, if you see a great film, you can't figure out why it's so great, you do watch it multiple times to see what they do right here.
Do you have any film in particular you have to watch multiple times, or like what you said, like?
Yeah, I think Prisoners is a really great one. That was with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. And I recommend you watch it right now. Well, after the podcast, of course.
We can do it now. Yeah.
That's a good one. And then The Matrix, believe it or not, it might sound a little mainstream and cheap, but the fact is, those 2 guys came out of nowhere. The Stanislavski siblings now. They at the time they were known as the Wachowski brothers. They were known as. Now they're one of them is identified as a female. So the Wachowski siblings, they came out of nowhere. They didn't have a track record in Hollywood, and they're maybe the most talented writers of the generation. I mean, they came up with this unbelievable story, and they did it again with V for Vendetta, which was a more established tale, but their take on it was incredible. So you want to see these minds, these people who are legendary and iconic minds, and see what do they do right, because God, you could only hope to be as talented as they apparently were, but with very little experience.
Yeah, no, they're brilliant. Like, the world building in Matrix was incredible.
Yes,
like
it was. It was.
Like, there's
And,
no singular thing that was amazing about it. It's just the whole thing came together beautifully.
exactly. The script was great. The way they built the story, and the Wachowski siblings are doing a sequel now, so we have that to look forward to.
Yeah, Keanu
Hopefully,
Reeves taking it back up.
hopefully
Uh,
sequels. As you know, are hit or miss.
yeah. We had Steve Pistone on from Matrix 2. He's talking about some crazy stories with Keanu Reeves.
Let me see who's Steve Pistone. Let me Google him real quick.
Thomas, you're pretty quiet. Did you realize that?
What's that?
I'm doing a lot of listening.
Fair play, fair play.
Oh, we have another person on.
Yeah, for some reason he's been so quiet.
I'm being very quiet. I do a lot of listening.
You're a good listener.
Yeah. I do a lot of listening.
So yeah, that's Steve Pistone. He's a great guy. Saw him the other day.
Wow, that's cool. What? Geez, I can't find him. How do you spell that last name?
Bast
Oh, okay.
Oni.
Let's get an image of this guy. Okay, yeah, no, he's great in that. He's great. That's cool. I was gonna ask you. When I went to Ireland, I know this is kind of not sequitur, but I found that people were not so focused on money. I talked to a few people, and I guess money was not like they didn't like value people based on how much they make. Is that true?
I've never heard of someone valuing someone because of how much they make.
Yeah, me neither.
I've never
Really?
heard of that. I've never heard of that.
No, we've never.
Really?
No, you're after really confusing me. Is that a thing?
In America, it's the saddest thing. It's absolutely people want to know the people who make the most money, for sure.
Oh.
And it's kind of a competition, between neighbors and
Oh, so like you gotta get a big car so your neighbors see it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so stupid.
Is it not? I was raised with this built into my my MO, my modus operandi, and I don't like it. I really felt I like that in Ireland. That's not a huge thing to people. It's not like an obsession.
Yeah, I think if you put an Irish person with that view in America, you'd call them a hippie.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No, like
Sure.
we don't really think like that.
That's amazing. Wow.
No, I've seen that in movies a lot, but I always thought it was like a joke.
No, God, it's really so ingrained into the American thought process. I mean, I feel, and I liked when I went to Ireland, I got some perspective because at the time, I was like I said, I was a businessman in Rhode Island, and I remember talking to the guy, and I was like, "Well, I'm making X amount a week, and I really want to bring it up." I mean, I can't, I've been doing this, and he's like, "What, you make that much a week?" And I was like, "Yeah. In America, it's not considered like a ton of money." And he's like, "God, I've never, like, I make half that. I'm working on the docks." And I was like, "Wow." And I was like, well, I mean, I was like, that's a really respectable thing. Actually, it's pretty tough to get work on the docks in America because you got to be part of the union.
Yeah.
But and you actually make a ton of money doing union jobs in America. But it just struck me. I was like, wow, like this is actually, I really like this style of thinking compared to Americans, where it is like an obsession, especially in sales. The more money you bring in, the better a salesman you are, and you just get tracked up or wrapped up in that.
Yeah. Thomas, would you agree that we don't see a lot of that here?
Oh yeah, that's very true. Like, I do agree.
I'm glad you elaborated on that. Thank you. Very much.
Thanks for,
I love your input today.
why don't you let us talk for a while? I mean, geez.
No, talk away, because I'm literally just sitting here and I'm actually enjoying listening to everything you're saying. Like,
Well, the viewers
like,
enjoy
soaking
you
it in.
talking.
I think you got some fans waiting to hear from you.
Yeah. I had a question there, but it's after going out of my head there. Oh yeah, no. This guy told you like how much he was making, yeah?
I don't remember.
You don't have to tell us.
We were drinking at the bar, so.
Like, but that conversation never happens here. You never ask someone how much they're making.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, like
it's quite a personal question.
Like if I asked
I don't know,
my parents,
we were both drinking. So
how much are you guys making? Like, that's such a weird conversation to have.
Really? It's not. It depends. It's way more easy to ask that in America. It's still kind of a personal question, but people do wonder. I mean, you can look up how much every actor makes in America.
It's kind of weird.
On deals, it's funny. It's kind of public information.
Yeah, I got nothing else on that. That's kind of weird.
You could be like looking at Captain America. We did this recently. So, what's his name? Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Was paid $300,000 to do the first Captain America film, right?
How much for the last one?
Yeah. $300,000. Oh yeah, so that's where I'm going. So for the last one he did, which was Endgame, he got paid $20 million to do that.
Wouldn't mind that, would you?
Yeah, he worked his way up there quite a bit. Yeah, that's how it goes. Usually that's pretty much the standard payment to an actor of that caliber. Like Johnny Depp charges $20 million per film with no exceptions. That's usually the cap. I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gets paid the most. I think he got paid $40 million to do one film. He's the highest paid actor in the world.
Do you ever hear of Keanu Reeves taking a lower pay so bigger stars can get on into movies?
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's not a piece of shit.
So cool. Yeah.
I'm not saying that other people are, but
yeah.
Cool. No, he's a real down to earth human being from what I've heard around town. So.
Speaking of around town, do you ever meet many huge names or run into them by accident?
Yeah. You know who I ran into? I ran into Mel Gibson, and I think we both made each other chuckle because there was an odd situation we were a part of, and then I met Wesley Snipes, and I exchanged a few words with him. Naturally, same place. He's a cool guy. Dude, that guy. I mean, Mel Gibson was really nice, and so I don't know if he was in a good mood or something. I think I'm inclined to believe he is just generally a nice guy, and a lot of people try to make him look bad because he was very, very polite. And Wesley Snipes was too. Wesley Snipes, very polite guy, coolest motherfucker I've ever met. He talks just like he does in the Blade movies.
Yeah.
He's a really, really cool guy. I think that's.
We're standing there.
What's that?
Sorry. No, you keep going. Sorry.
Oh no! I'm just rambling at this point.
No, I was saying with Mel Gibson, like I feel like when you're that famous, you kind of have to be super polite because you say something mean to someone, that's probably going to be on a Twitter, on the newspaper, right. National news.
It'll get controversial.
Yeah.
So quick.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You could. I mean, I don't know. I've heard from some of my colleagues that certain people are not so great to be around. I know Harrison Ford. He's literally. He put my friend from school. He went to school with Harrison Ford's daughter, right? And Harrison Ford came in to pick her up one day, and my friend is a huge Star Wars fan. He's like got to be 15 at this point, and he went up to him and he's like, can I get an autograph? And he kind of brushed him aside and said, "Out of my way, kid." Kept walking.
I can imagine that in his voice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what a guy.
But yeah,
but if you're Star Wars famous, probably don't have to do anything else really.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm sure he's not the Comic-Con type, There's people who do those type of things and they love being part of it. It was just another film series to him. I mean, he did so many.
Comic-Con or gone.
What about Comic-Con?
I was going to say If you could play a stupid question. If you could play a superhero, who would you want to play?
If I could play a superhero, I would want to play Robin or Batman, I think. I'm obsessed with the Batman series.
What do you think about Robert Pattinson doing it now?
Playing Batman, I mean, I think he's talented. I think he's a good guy. I'm interested to see where they go. These movies have been notoriously hit or miss in the past 20 years.
But I always thought he was to be honest, I thought he was a terrible actor. And then I seen The Lighthouse.
For Twilight.
You didn't like him in The Lighthouse, or you did like him in The Lighthouse?
No, I didn't like him until I seen The Lighthouse.
Me too.
Oh.
I didn't think he was like
so
crazy talented until The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he'll do well. He said he's not getting in. He's refusing to get in any sort of shape for the part because he wants to get rid of that expectation on actors. And I don't really feel great about that. I can't say I agree. I think if you're getting paid $10-20 million to do a part, you can go to the gym for it. Just like any other job requires some preparation.
But I guess that is kind of an expectation that like you're gonna be a superhero, man. You gotta be jacked.
Yeah.
You have to be beyond that. But
right.
Yeah. But I guess that's part. Like you're supposed to be superhuman.
Right. It's a fair expectation. I think you get paid an enormous salary, just like if you were a sports player. You'd have to be in shape to get to get the higher pay. The more and I just think it's been. It's just a natural part of the thing. A lot of actors try to mold themselves and do the prep work for any role. I don't necessarily think you need to put on, God, what was it, like 50, 60 pounds like Christian Bale did to play Dick Cheney. But, you could do some.
He's crazy.
If you want to put 10 pounds on and then wear a fat suit, but still like put a little extra weight on just to feel what it's like, maybe to get in someone's head who is out of shape if you've never been like that. That's fine. I just think when you're getting paid that amount of money, you can do some preparation. It's not going to kill you.
Have you had to do it before?
No, I did do one film that I directed, that's going to be in film festivals this year. It's called Tick, and I played a psychopath and a mercenary, and I got really lean for that one. And we also did another interesting thing was he's supposed to be in hell or in purgatory. So the set was actually, and we shot it in a motel in Rhode Island. In middle of summer, it was already like 95 degrees outside. I don't know what the Celsius is. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Selfish American. But then we put the heater on in the room on top of that. And I was actually, it looks like people are sweating in films a lot of time. They spray them down. I was actually sweating a lot in that film for the role, just to make it authentic.
I'm just reading it now. So, there's only 2 characters.
Yes.
And a fairly small budget.
Yes.
But obviously, like, budget doesn't make a film unless it's like some kind of huge monstrosity of a film.
Right.
3 minutes long. I'm looking forward to seeing that when it's out. That's pretty cool.
What's that?
I said I'm looking forward to seeing it whenever I can.
Oh,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
What a guy. You got some really cool stuff here. I had a question, but I completely blanked. What was it? Oh yeah, after you were, after you peaked at 11, what was your next film after that? I'm kidding. No, after that, what was your next film after that?
After the one when I was 11?
Yeah.
Or like a real film, or like one of the stupid things we did?
Well, whatever. You tell the stories.
Well, we did do Backyard Aliens, which was obviously aliens in somebody's backyard. There was an egg, and then we cut the film and then put the person there, and the egg turned into a person. That was the alien, and then it ended up doing battle with another alien, and I think the neighbors just watched in the back, them fighting in the backyard. So that genius script, God, it took us years to come up with.
The budget must have been huge.
It was a very big budget. Yeah.
He's fair play.
What about you? You're an actor, right?
Kind of, but not. I've done acting. I'm not there yet to say I'm an actor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely got a type. You're like you could have been in Game of Thrones.
Well, it's here, and they're making the prequel here, so I'm actually looking to snag my piece of that.
Got the perfect look. God, tell him you can shoot. You're the bow champion. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's actually got me a role before. I was supposed to have the role. I will have it eventually, but it's cancelled because of COVID.
Oh God.
Yeah.
They're not postponing. They're just completely canceling.
No, they're postponing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God. It's hard enough to get a role. You never want to lose one.
Yeah, there's very very little work going on here at the moment in terms of acting or filming at all. What's it like over where you are? Are things back to normal?
I think there's a lot of casting going on for productions that are going to start later this month, and I think things are going to start shooting the end of July here. There's a lot of opportunities on Actors Access and Backstage in LA actually.
Fair enough. I mean, say half the actors in Ireland are starving to death right now.
Yeah, I bet.
There's been nothing for four months. I was in one of the last things. I was in Thomas. You know Coronation Street, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or not? Wait, no, Fair City. Sorry, I was in Fair City right before the lockdown went down. Literally 2 days before it happened, and yeah, it was the last thing that went on. But yeah, so it's getting back to normal, thankfully. Not really for you guys. The rest of us are doing better.
I mean, it's LA is always gonna have people making stuff of a wide variety of qualities. But actors, a lot of people don't care if it's a good film or bad film because they don't get enough work as it is. And,
yeah.
We've all been a part of our fair share of bad films. They can be fun and you get paid to act. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Making the bread.
Sure. You want to get paid to do what you want to do, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Counting sheep or throwing the dye. What do you get? You got that job where you throw the dye on the sheep?
I know what you call those lads, but that's not my job.
It's not a real job.
What are you, shearing sheep? Is that what you're talking about?
You just throw the dye. You're the guy that throws the dye on the sheep, for the different farmers.
Yeah.
What's up with that? When I went to Ireland, I saw that. And I was like, whoa, doesn't that ruin the sheep's fur when they throw the dye on it?
Did you drive through the, what you call it? Thomas, what's that area anyone can graze their sheep?
I don't know.
It's not the Curragh, is it?
Could be.
I think it's a Curragh.
Yeah.
Did this area in Ireland, you might have drove through it.
Okay.
Anyone's allowed to graze their sheep. So you get ink and you rub it on the coat, and that lets you know which one's yours.
Right.
Yeah, the sheep are like.
It doesn't ruin the sheep's coat?
Well, I'll tell you the harsh reality. They're not using the sheep for the wool.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
They're all having sex with them?
No, this is Ireland, not Wales.
Oh,
Oh God. We had a Welsh person on, and I was telling them I keep shitting on Welsh people. I don't mean it. I'm sorry.
Well, my film is about one of the most famous and prolific Welshmen, right? Last Call.
You lost me.
It's about Dylan Thomas.
Lost me again.
It's Dylan Thomas. Come on. Rage against the dying of the light. Do not go gentle into that good night. The poet.
What's his name again?
That's what our film's about.
Say his name again, sorry?
Dylan Thomas.
Yeah, we're Irish. We don't actually know much about that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, the sheep here are just for meat. So, rip to those guys.
Well, I've had leg of lamb and it's delicious, so I condone that.
Yeah, the harsh reality. Yeah. So you yourself, you're on our podcast today, but you've your own podcast, don't you?
Oh, we did. We had a podcast with a couple of famous people on it, and that as a influencers don't get along. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. I've
it's not going anymore.
Content for a lot of influencers out here, and they are divas. They're all divas. They're all really young. They're too famous, too young. That's what I like to say, in my opinion. And it makes people different. And one of those things is that they clash a lot, and we had a lot of clashing on that podcast. I was trying to be the peacekeeper, but there was a lot of disagreements on that podcast. And it was just impossible to work with.
So, do you think you have any future doing podcasts, or is that a ship sales?
Podcast?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a lot of going on. I've been doing actually a lot of writing, and I'm working on writing my first novel actually right now, and I've kind of slowed down on all the production stuff because I've been producing for so long. I really, like I said, I got into this to be an artist and put some money saved up, and I really just want to get back to that. I get so much pleasure just from sitting down and writing all day and staying in that headspace. I really don't like I hate the self-promotion part of the industry. And like podcasting in a lot of cases is a form of self-promotion, not in all cases. Like vlogging and stuff like that. And I used to do that quite a bit. But it gets tiring, and I don't like, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the personalities that are in that influencer space. But some
would you call yourself
really
an influencer?
God, no.
Really?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, what power do I really have? I mean, I got, I don't have half a million followers or 1 million followers. I mean, the people I work with, my friend Gilbert has 1 million followers, and we did a short film together, and then that starred my other buddy Tavo Betancourt, who has like 10 million followers. I think consider those people influencers. I mean, Tavo posts, "Hey guys, go watch this link," and you'll get a flood of people clicking on that link. He gets, what is it, like, I don't want to out him here, but I think it's like 400,000 responses to his story at minimum.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's unheard of here.
Right. I mean, it's unbelievable. He's actually a Mexican TV star. And he most of his follower base is in Mexico. But those people I consider them influencers. I think, it's like, because it's the whole term influence, like if they post something, people, you can reliably expect a large amount of people to go and look at that. That's what the brand certainly look for, I think if you have like a couple 100,000 followers, or I think it's about around 300,000 is when the brands really start paying out. Like Bang Energy, if you have 300,000 followers, you could get a Bang Energy deal for 40 grand a year, pretty much. So, and then if more than that, you can get more money. I have some friends who make $90,000 a year from Bang Energy, just off their posting on their Instagram.
Jeez, Thomas, you writing this down? We may as well get on to them.
Yeah.
No, you've so many followers. Like you've 73,500 followers, and
Yeah.
you do not consider that to be influential. Like if I put
Back
all
in
these
my
people in a
hometown,
room,
back in Rhode Island, well, I lived in New England. You know, I was raised in Rhode Island. It's the smallest state in the whole U.S. That's right. But it's not the worst state. I'll tell you that. It's one of the good ones. But yeah, back
what's a
there,
bad
I
one?
mean, it was like, God, I could go back, and I think about this all the time. I was like, God, if I went back to Rhode Island, I could be, a big fish in a small pond, and go down to the bar and take up any girl I want. In my head, this is what I tell myself anyway.
I guess that's
in my-
that's where my perspective comes from. Like you're saying that's nothing, but here I'm not up my own ass.
Huge.
But I'm Thomas. I'm the most followed person I know.
That's awesome. No, I mean, there's
Uh,
nothing to take away from that. It's just once you get to LA, it loses its value because there's so many people here with massive followings.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, there's you go anywhere else outside LA and it is significant. My following would be significant, but here it's not that. It's nothing crazy. I mean, I don't get. It's just like there's so many people. Everybody's got a friend who has like 300,000 followers or more, and
yeah.
it's just like, yeah, it's not. There's so many people. It's just not a thing. It's not. You're not really competitive unless you have over 300,000. I think.
Say if you were back in Ireland right now, like I think if no matter where you were for about a 10-kilometer range, you'd be the most followed person, or even up to 100 kilometers. Like
Maybe. I mean, unless Taylor Swift is staying at her house that weekend in Rhode Island. Or Jim Carrey's staying in his apartment in Bristol, Rhode Island.
Matt Damon got stuck here actually during.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier. Not
In
doing this
Ireland?
stuff.
Yeah, he's stuck here.
He slept at your house?
No,
Is it
we're
in
not,
the
we're
same
not that
bed?
close.
Same bed?
He
Different
tried contacting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Matt Damon's from Massachusetts. It's right next to Rhode Island.
Julio. Yeah, I don't know much about
Matt Damon stayed here in a house that belonged to a Formula One driver. It was he rented it out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What a guy, Matt Damon. He's staying here as well. He's doing a film here.
Oh no, he's gone back. He's gone back to the US now.
Who
He has to come back to the film.
Yeah, no,
Ireland
left like
is the
a
most
couple of weeks
beautiful
back.
place to film a film, I think. One of the most beautiful places. Right?
I'd say anywhere in the Mediterranean might be better.
You think? Well, I mean, God, for me, Ireland is magical when I went there, and I've driven across the whole United States. When I went, I was thinking, I told my my roommate the other day, my cousin, I told him, I was like, oh, God, I want to go back to Ireland. It's so beautiful over there. Like, dude, we don't have those castles. We don't have those sprawling hills and beautiful cliffs in America. It's not. It's really rare. I mean, I think it's because it's more of an island, Ireland, the way that it was formed. You have all that beautiful landscape. God, and it's kind of felt like a little tropical. Some of the plant life over there, the trees. It was really a prolific experience for me to go visit Ireland.
Speaking about tropical at the moment, like when we look outside our windows, it's just
it's slushing rain outside. And the wind
is raining?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen rain in over a month. God, I miss it.
Oh, poor you.
Don't you love it? I mean, weren't you raised on it were raining and cloudy all the time?
Like we're so used to cold climate. Like the cold, it's so nice. But when it gets too warm here, well, for me, I can't stand it. At night, you can't sleep. It's just too warm.
Sleep. Sitting there at 4:00 in the morning, going downstairs to get ice packs.
Yeah.
Why don't you get an air conditioner, for God's sakes?
Because it's only useful for a 2-week period.
Oh, come on. They're $100.
I think I'm the only one here who hasn't been to the US. I've always wanted to go.
Oh yeah.
Where'd you go to the US?
I went.
Oh.
I've been to Florida and I've been to South Dakota.
South Dakota, God, what are you doing out there? Trying to get butt fucked or something? Or
it's like bow hunter. Doing the bow hunting.
Florida's an interesting place. We get most of our we have a meme in America called Florida Man because there's so many news articles that start with Florida Man, blah blah blah. You know.
Well, it's something to do with what their crime laws. Like it's all public.
I don't know what it is. It could be that. It's crazy. I mean, you have every level of criminal there. You have all the white collar criminals. You have the serial killers. You have the meth heads. It's kind of a crazy land. I love Florida though. I go there once a year, so I'm not here telling you not to go to Florida.
Yeah.
But it's a crazy place.
I have to say, South Dakota I much preferred. Well,
South Dakota. Yeah, I have not been there.
Cornfield everywhere.
Okay.
No.
Sounds
okay.
right.
That sounds pretty stupid. Starting off with that, but no. You don't have a landscape like that here. The Badlands were pretty cool. We seen Mount Rushmore. At the time, people weren't getting out about it. They are now. But we went and we seen the Crazy Horse Memorial. I think hold on. I have a band on me still from when I was at it. It's a cool place. Crazy Horse Memorial.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of great parks there. Mount Rushmore. I mean, I've actually never been there, so that must have been pretty cool to see.
Yeah. It's not relevant to our history, but it's still cool. Right. A lot of Irish people obviously went to the States, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm part Irish. I think a lot of people identify with their Irish ancestry in the United States. It's kind of a point of pride, we'll say.
You're hardly like one of those people who are like 1/14 Irish or something.
No, I'm not. I'm like I'm like a third Irish. Yeah,
That's
no,
cool.
I'm not like fairly Irish. I grew up. My grandmother was like 100% Irish, so
That's really cool.
Yeah, she's you could see it. She was a redhead. She had very pale skin.
That's enough said there. Yeah. Do you any idea where? What part of Ireland?
Oh yeah, no. I visited my ancestors' hometown. Come on. I mean, I went there and I was like, God, I can't. No
was this in
Cork
or
God,
Kerry?
This is the worst part of Ireland. It was Ardfinnan.
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 I've never heard of that.
Me neither.
God, it was the most boring town I've ever been to. This is pre-quarantine. We went there and there was not a person on the streets. It was like one of those horror movies where you go to the town where there's no one out, and you go into the one place.
Are you serious?
Like, who are you?
Was this you?
Well, Ardfinnan, where about?
No. The first thing that comes up for Ardfinnan: tractor over 3 cars.
Yeah.
Is it?
What happened when you got there? What were you doing?
Well, we get a little crazy.
What county is it in? Is it in? Oh, it's in Tipperary.
Yeah,
Yep.
Tipperary.
Very cool.
I've seen it there.
Yeah, it was like, God. I mean, I was like, no wonder they left. I mean, this wasn't even a good part of Ireland,
Yeah.
They came to the U.S. I mean, that town, you got to go there. You got to go there and check it out.
Where I am,
less than 900.
Woo! Small town.
Yeah.
You definitely moved up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're better off there than here. Or where you are. Like.
Where do you all live?
I live in County Offaly. So the podcast is called Offaly Irish, and then we're from Offaly, so it worked.
Really?
And then Thomas is from up north.
I'm a bit further up north from where he is.
Oh,
He's
don't
more
think
central.
I've been to Northern Ireland.
No, I live close to Northern Ireland, but I'm just a couple of minutes away from the border of the north of Ireland.
County Cavan.
County Cavan.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Offaly County. We might have driven through Offaly County on the way to Dublin.
Probably did. You forget it very
Jared,
fast.
you missed out.
Should have interviewed you then. Would have been great.
I think I slept through that town. Yeah. Okay.
I don't blame you. Yeah, Edenderry is most unemployed town in all of Ireland.
I've
Really?
driven to it.
Yeah, it's a great tourist attraction.
It's
Just
it's
for
not
that.
bad thought.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, I plan on definitely going to Vegas, Las Vegas, when I go to America.
Yeah,
That's
there's a
where I'm
huge
going.
archery shoot there.
The Vegas shoot.
Yeah,
I want to go.
Vegas is sucks.
you reckon?
I mean, no, I had fun. It's fun if you're going there for a very specific purpose. I didn't find it too fun going there. We stopped in just to stop in on the drive out to LA. And it's just fucking expensive. I mean, geez, unless you're celebrating something and you feel good about spending that money. I mean, we didn't.
Gambling
we were just
and casinos.
Yeah.
You just go to the casinos. Yeah.
Right. We were just stopping in for the night, and we're like, God, this is fucking insane. $250 for one night at a shitty motel.
Oh man.
Yeah.
that is.
God damn. I'd hate to be a local.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks, man. But that's the thing with the US. I love. You can really get in somewhere in like some in the middle of nowhere. You probably get a motel for about $1, and then in a big city you probably get it for like $500. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I mean, in LA, it's hard to find a place like around. We found a place that was like $60, $70, but it was disgusting. I mean, I tell you, we stayed there a week when we were looking for an apartment. We had stayed at Airbnbs prior to that. And we were just trying to see if we could Airbnb surf for a while, and we found out we really couldn't. So we got an apartment, but yeah, we stayed at that place. But then you go in Pennsylvania, and driving through Pennsylvania, you pay $60 a night, and it's a fucking really nice room, a really nice hotel room.
That's good.
You know, it's funny.
Yeah, it could be kind of the same. I know, like the European Union is basically one giant European country. Is there screaming going on there?
Yeah.
That's 4th of July.
Well, happy 4th of July, by the way. Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
So loud. Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Couple of shots going off in the background. Like,
Yeah, you never know what's going on in the US these days. It's mental.
Oh, I know.
But yeah. What was I saying? I was saying the European Union. Yeah, there's some countries you go in it and like it's just dirt cheap. Like in Greece, you could probably get a good place for about €30. The breakfast included. Happy days.
I'm having some technical issues.
Don't worry about it. Is that a PlayStation?
Is that GameCube? I'm seeing it.
That's no game.
Taking snapshots, huh?
Ignore
that's
that's just
I'm thinking. I'm like, yo, is that a GameCube? I'm like,
that's a PlayStation. It's a PlayStation, yeah. We just played that new game, Last of Us. I played it.
Oh,
Don't start.
Part 2. The very controversial game.
I had a PS4, but I got rid of it. I didn't like it.
You didn't like it, the whole console, or you don't like video games?
Well, no, I had it, and then it started to get, it started to form problems of its own of overheating, and started to, it got really noisy, and I didn't like that.
Sure.
So I was like, I'm going back to Xbox.
We've all been there.
Do you think The Last of Us would have worked well as a movie? I think the first one would have.
Yes, and it's going to be there's a TV series coming out with Nikolai Coster-Waldau. Hopefully I pronounced that name right.
That sounded pretty right, yeah.
It's the guy who played. He was on Game of Thrones.
All right.
The handsome prince. I always forget his name. Lannister. Jaime Lannister.
Yeah. All right. That sounds cool.
He can do it. He does great roles like that. He did that movie Shot Caller. He basically, I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's worth a watch.
What do you think of Last of Us 2 story-wise?
Oh, are we doing spoilers or no spoilers?
We'll try to do no spoilers. If you have to say something, you have to say it.
Well, I mean, God, there's the thing in the beginning that everyone's enraged about. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
if you ignore that, which was difficult, it's a great game. It's a great story. It really is. But I think it's like, just like with a movie, you got the Jason Bourne movies. Like, what if they did the second movie without Jason Bourne? Would you fucking watch it? It's like you fall in love with a character, and that's why TV shows get 8, 9 seasons, because you love seeing the same people. That's why you come back, and sure, you can make it change out different characters to tell a good story, but people want to see who they like. That's part of the story, the beauty of storytelling, and the fascination with it. So I didn't really get that. I didn't really understand that.
It's like they did it to progress the story they already made up. It's like they made the story and said, okay, well, we need something to drive it.
Right.
Yeah, and even the message at the end. Have you finished it?
Yes.
The message at the end that they try to give you, the moral, revenge is bad. At the end, you're still disagreeing with that completely. Circumstances.
I did. Yeah. I honestly, to be honest, I started to side with Abby more as a human being than Ellie, because Ellie, she's just a vicious murderer. I mean, she has a good life. She can't live in it. She disrespects her partner. She's vicious. She's a murderer through and through, and to kill indiscriminately, dozens of people to get to one person is, it's kind of sick. Whereas, Abby, on the other hand, she had her revenge story, and she killed the one person, and she didn't kill anybody else at all.
And she saved somebody as well.
She saved people, and she kept it. And then she, over and over again, she gave Ellie chances, and she still refused to kill her. And it was like, wow, who's at the end of the day, who's the better person? Just because you started knowing Ellie, if you really look at it, doesn't mean, you naturally, we all form loyalties in life, right? You side with your friends no matter what. But we don't know Abby, so naturally we start off loyal to Ellie. But you can start to lose that loyalty a little bit when you see who is actually the better person here.
Yeah, no, definitely. I like the way you look into it. Actually, that's pretty in depth and well explained.
Well, I love that story. It was a really good one. And God, who doesn't want to see two gorgeous chicks fighting with knives?
Yeah. Fair enough. You ever
Did
met
I totally
actors?
degrade the nice analyzation I gave you with that one comment?
Sure, it's all even now. It's all even.
That's a big spoiler. No.
We want to get the actor for Dina. We want to get her on.
Oh, really? That'd be amazing.
Yeah. You ever played Black Ops?
Not in any recent years.
We got the guy who played Woods on. So I've kind of starting to enjoy getting voice actors on. I kind of want to get people from The Last of Us on.
Yeah.
Hear their side of it, because people are shitting on that game.
Yeah, people are. It's a little too modern. It's a little too ahead of its time, that game, I think.
Yeah.
For the everyday player.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah. Do you think they'll make a number 3, or do you think it's just done? It's dead.
I thought they said they're gonna do a third and final game.
Okay.
I don't know about that. The first one was just so good. Like
Maybe it's redeemable.
I watched it.
Well, we can. Hopefully, they can take the TV series, and this is what they do a lot with TV is they change the story, right? So maybe we'll actually get to see. It'll stick with Joel and Ellie, and maybe they won't kill Joel in the TV series. One would only hope.
One can only pray.
No, I mean Joel's getting kind of boring there, wasn't he? With the stupid, just playing guitar, kind of just dawdling
This made him
around
into
town.
a shadow of what he was. Curb stomping lads because just because
he didn't know what to do without killing, And no, they didn't really explore that too much. They kind of just made Joel a very blasé guy in that town,
It's like his story is in the first game onwards. That's all you got to know about him. That's kind of the way they treated him.
Right, I know. Well, yeah, I was interested. I mean, they could actually do a prequel to show what went on, with Joel in those 4 years. I think that'd be interesting.
That would be.
I think. I mean, he's a great character. I mean, I think it was crazy to not have him in throughout that series.
Oh, we spoiled it already. It's okay.
God, how beast was Abby when you played as her? I mean, God, you could
built like an ox. It's huge.
I think you could just go through and beat everybody up. You didn't have to use any ammo. I mean, you just go in and just knock people's heads in.
Yeah. Snapping necks left, right, and center. She was crazy. An absolute beast.
Fucking rampage.
Yeah.
How did you get that big?
Yeah, I know. Well, people were thinking that she was trans at first. I was like,
I heard about that, yeah.
I was like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, not that, I think that would be a cool game to have somebody that's trans, because they are definitely a community that doesn't get the spotlight in media just yet, but it's like, well, you could have I know a woman who is a power lifter. I mean, you don't have to be a man to be able to build yourself up like that.
I think, sorry, that kid who shaved their head in it, I think they were trans.
Which one? Oh yeah, he was. He was.
Yeah. No, I've seen things on that before. Yeah.
What's that?
No, I'd heard about that before.
Yeah, I think they use the pronoun they. I really, really like that part of it. I really like that part of it. I mean, it's a real story. A lot of people have that story,
Yeah.
And there's always adversity, to come out and say what they identify as. And I thought that was cool. I liked that element of it. I think people trashed it. They're like, oh, they're trying to include all these things. I'm like, well, it's a real story, and it's been lacking in games for decades, let's be honest. And there are a lot of people there. I mean, especially where I live, there's a ton of people who identify as not necessarily what they were born as. And it's actually there's still a lot of adversity they face, and just prejudice, and it's really sick. And it's they feel like they have to explain themselves a lot of times, and it's really there should be no explanation at this point.
Having to explain yourself to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, we all know about it at this point. It's not like the 50s where people have never heard of this. So I think it's just I think that inclusion, the time of inclusion is coming, and we're on the precipice of a lot of change in the whole world right now, especially with race and with gender identity and sexual orientation, which there's still prejudice in the States against people of different sexual orientation. It's confusing.
So we never talk about this on the podcast. Well,
it's a tough subject. But I mean, it came up because The Last of Us, which is and I think it's good. I'm glad. I think that whole game is sparking conversation like this.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just going to say there, with the US, it's like you guys can be so progressive, and then there's just parts where they're like, absolutely not.
It's sick.
But
it's sick.
if when gay marriage was introduced in Ireland, at the start everyone was against it. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But
Right.
now, like, everyone has a gay cousin, pretty much. Everyone has a gay cousin,
Well,
a gay uncle, a gay whatever.
right.
Um,
And it
and
shows
like
that, you know,
everyone's
there
okay
is a
with it
lot of
now.
people
But
who
that doesn't happen in the US.
they feel comfortable now to be able to be honest and not have to hide. A lot more people, and there are still some people who do have to hide, but you know, it's it's good. I'm like glad, especially growing up. I've seen change in America. You know, when I was a kid and having people call me a fag and stuff, you know, and just like as an insult, and you know, at the time, you know, I was dating women, and well, I don't mean to say at the time, like I'm still dating women, but
Yeah.
but
No,
you know,
Cover
it's
up.
just
again,
like,
it's
but
okay.
yeah, you know, like that was the thing. It's like, oh, you fag, you fucking fairy, like, you know, I don't know where you guys grew up, but that's a huge part of my upbringing, and it was normal almost. And now, like, you could never say that in the school. You'd get suspended. You can't. That's a hate crime, which is good, but it's just funny to grow up and see the change. You
Yeah,
know, it was actually we were still really ignorant in America, even when I was in my teens.
sure. I suppose depends
And it
area to
sounds like
area.
Ireland has changed so much too.
Yeah, we
Rapidly.
went
Oh
from
yeah.
a country basically run by the Catholic Church in the 90s to being what we are now, and we're very open to everything.
That's
Uh,
great.
yeah, they used to be Magdalene Laundrettes, which meant uh, Thomas. What were they again? You could get like sent away, and the church would basically kidnap you for indefinitely, turn you into a nun.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
Yeah, the Magdalene Laundrettes.
I've never heard of this.
Are you serious?
Tell me more.
Hold
What?
on.
Wait.
I'll get this right. I'll get this right. It could be insulting. Yeah, Magdalene Laundries. Were institutions usually run by the Roman Catholic order, which operated from the 18th to late 20th century. They were for women who'd sinned, basically fallen women is what they call them.
Oh,
And the last of
for
these
women.
closed
Yeah.
in the 1990s. And they take you in, preach the Bible and crap. The Bible's important if you're a religious person.
Fucking
Like,
push
I'm
the
not saying
Bible
it's crap,
onto you.
but no, they
Yeah.
just force you into there. And this was going on fairly recently. The
wow,
last one was closed in 1996.
wow.
Crazy.
Mental.
I had actually never heard of that.
You
But
serious?
what they do, they force you to be straight cut
Basically,
God fearing
if you were a
person.
woman who'd sinned, your family could send you to one of these. Basically, call you insane, say you're possessed, whatever excuse they gave, and they
What?
would, yeah, your family, and then they would basically take you in as a nun, or eventually, if your family ever forgave you, they could come in and take you back. I think it was if you were unmarried. I'm not entirely sure.
Jeez, this ended in 1996. That's unreal. That's
Mhm.
unreal. Yeah, there's a
I
lot of
think that
crazy
one was
stuff.
like a very late exception. They all closed pretty much earlier than that, but still, it
Okay,
was a thing that was happening.
thank God.
Yeah, if I got that wrong, you might just comment, educate people on that stuff. I'm not an expert.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
mean, I've heard, you know, in Canada, they were mistreating the native people, and there's
I've
still
seen that.
severe mistreatment of that.
They're calling it a genocide now, like just by definition.
Yeah. It's and they literally had, like, they could take their kids away, and this is in the 2000s. And you know, I actually did a project about it where I played, well, this is kind of bad, maybe I'll get canceled, because they whitewashed it, and I played the native folk hero, Edward Ed Henneque, and a cartoon. I voiced it, and it was I then that I learned about all these atrocities that his people faced and still face
Yeah,
to this day. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. You know, you think it's like, oh, it's the 2000s, you know, none of this shit's going on anymore. It's not the 1800s, but actually there's some 1800s nonsense still hanging around in some countries, huh?
yeah, definitely. and we only pick up on them now. Well, obviously, you're saying about being cancelled there. Obviously, you went in there with the best possible intent. You did not go in there like, oh, I'm going to be a white guy doing this now.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really learned a lot about Edward and Henneque, and he's a folk hero there. He was really well renowned in the community for going, and he actually tried to become a doctor, and I believe he wasn't able to be successful because he got severely ill in medical school. He was eating frozen meat. He didn't have much money, so he'd be eating frozen meat, and he actually paralyzed his stomach. He just kept eating frozen meat. He had to drop out of medical school, but he ended up becoming a major part of their community, and he was revered for going to get that education in the first place. So I learned a lot about it. Yeah, so I went in there, and I really like to delve into the literature for any role that I get. There's so much to learn, and I hope I'm not boring you with this.
No, this is important stuff.
Yeah, but. It's crazy. I never heard of that. What was it? The Magdalene laundry. God.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to read more about that.
It's kind of unbelievable. It's something we don't talk about here.
Yeah. I mean,
which is concerning.
Oh, do you guys talk about much? I mean, you play everything close to the chest over there?
I get there's a couple things that are basically like sacred and we don't talk about them.
Well, that's probably why I didn't hear.
Talk about.
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
It's not really spoken of.
It's not even written into our history books. My history teacher just brought it up one day. So yeah. Like it's stuff eventually people are going to be start talking about, but I don't think the country's ready for that at the moment.
Yeah.
Or at least they're not doing it yet. I mean,
it has to be like the thing that's sad is, it doesn't change until it's popular.
It's just kind of weird. Like making things phases, like.
Right.
That's a big fear with the Black Lives Matter protests. Like people are going to turn into a phase. That's really concerning.
Oh yeah, like a fad. I mean, we'll see. Like the people who really want change are gonna keep pushing for change even after it's popular. But there are so many people that jumped on the fad of it, and I have some judgment for those people. I don't really like that. A lot of influencers do it just to build their brand.
We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, you don't care what we're putting on Twitter. You're listening to a podcast. You're hearing what we're saying. Right.
I think I've been not necessarily publicly, but like I've had a major issue with police in America for a long time, and I have relatives who are policemen, and I don't think all police are bad, but I don't like the way on the average that police are run. They I mean, especially Netflix, like those documentaries, like the confession tapes, which were so important because it shows people, like, the police in America, they can lie to you. Yeah. They're legally allowed to lie to you to try to get you to admit to something.
Isn't that in like certain states? Is that
all states.
The case, or is all of them?
All of them. States. They don't have to tell you the truth. They can lie to you. They can be like, yeah, we'll get you this deal. And that's why in movies you'll see, I want to see it in writing. They say, I want to see the deal in writing. It's a real thing. I mean, because they can say, we'll get you off. We'll get you full immunity. Just tell us what you did or tell us what they did. And you're like, okay. But then they don't actually have to follow through on it unless they get, you need that contract from the district attorney. They can tell you anything. They can tell you, we know you did it. We got the evidence. We have the satellite pictures showing your car on the street at the time of the murder. And it doesn't have to be true at all. And like maybe you were driving by and that's what they're hoping for. And you're like, God, no, maybe they'll just tell them what they want.
That's really concerning.
It's fucked up. It's sick. And then on top of that, they shoot people so easily. I mean,
do you know how many people were shot by police in Ireland? 0.
What? 0.
Our police are unarmed.
That's amazing. How do they subdue people? Did they all know judo or something?
Basically.
That's crazy.
They'd have to put you in like a hold. Well, most people are compliant because if you're uncompliant, it's not worth being uncompliant.
Yeah.
Do they just
pull you to the
beat
ground
and shit?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Do they even arrest you, or they just beat you down and teach you a lesson?
No. Our police are pretty nice guys.
Okay.
Some of them.
Yeah, well, obviously, I'll be honest, they're probably better than you guys.
Oh, I believe it. It's not a high bar.
Like, our ones are fairly sound. They do nothing too dodgy. I've never heard of like a police scandal in Ireland ever.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard.
Really?
And yeah, no, I've never heard of that. But it's more often they get shot, which is unfortunate because if they arrive unarmed,
Right.
what are they supposed to do when they get shot at? But there's units that
What
have.
do they do if like there's a mass shooter? I mean, maybe you guys don't have these.
We don't have
like
those.
we do in America.
Well,
so
recently,
if they did, if
we
there's
have.
some extreme situation, do you have like a SWAT team or a special force that does come in with a firearm?
I think it's like we have a armed division. They're very rarely used. They're used for like terrorist threats and stuff like that.
Right.
And then if it gets super bad, I think the army gets involved because our army is like, well, we don't have an army. Like we're not. I think it's part of our constitution. We don't have an army. We have a defense force, and their job is to, because we're not involved in conflicts, never have been. They just help around.
You just got the IRA. They handle everything for you, right?
Yeah, they're dodgy figures. Yeah.
Is that one of those things you guys don't talk about?
Yeah.
Everyone used to know. Don't know anyone who's ever been in the IRA, but everyone used to know someone who was in it back in the Troubles.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But no, I don't know anyone in it.
Yeah, it's a controversial subject, right?
Yeah.
Because they, of course, I think any country that's fighting for their independence has the right, but I guess their practices were pretty questionable, right?
They had borders in the north, and you couldn't cross in. It was like a.
Well, I hate talking about it. I'll talk about.
Okay, well, I'm not.
That's okay.
Get in trouble in Ireland.
No, we're sure talk about a bit of it.
Yeah, we'll talk about what was a fact. I'm not going to give my opinions on it. There were counties in Ireland, which were in Northern Ireland, which wanted to remain part of the Republic of Ireland.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the English invaded a long time ago. They had a foothold they had a foothold in Ireland in the 1400s.
Those bastards.
And then they went on from there. After the 100-Year War, they started looking at Ireland like, there lies the dinner. And they took away rights to Irish people to own the lands. If you're an Irish person, you had a kid, you weren't allowed. If you had a kid, you weren't the legal guardian of your kid.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I hate the English, don't you?
I can't say that. English people are sound. Just the old ones weren't.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah.
Back then.
What they did to William Wallace really grinds my gears, I'll tell you that. Go on.
No, you're right.
I'm just commenting for you since you can't express your opinion.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah, no, parts of Ireland, after we got our independence in part of the country. Oh, yeah, our independence deal was Winston Churchill saying, the guy before Winston Churchill, but he's also involved, said, okay, you have 2 days. You take this part of Ireland or we invade. And we had 2 days to decide. And the 2 days was also to get over to the UK and talk about it with them. And revolutionary lad Michael Collins, he signed a deal, caused the Irish Civil War. We didn't get our counties in the north. But there were counties that wanted to join Ireland. County Tyrone, it was a County Fermanagh, I think. And they weren't allowed. And then that's what caused the troubles. There's people up there who wanted to be part of Ireland and they didn't get to be. Kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah, the English were pretty brutal back in the day. I mean, even if you look at the punishments for crimes, they'd start off with you'd take you into the town square and they'd start chucking stuff at you. Then
stone you to death.
Then they'd cut you open and pull your guts out. Then they'd set your guts on fire in front of you. And then they'd tie you to a bunch of horses and let them pull on you until you die.
And somewhere in that mix, they cut off your dick as well.
I said that. They cut the penis. They chop it right off.
This is something out of Outlast.
I think that's at the point where I'd pass out.
Yeah. Fair play if you make it to that part. No, they were crazy.
I don't think I could make it past that part. I don't know what I'd do. I've thought about this many times. I'm like, what if you were the next day you were in the cell and you're thinking, God, they're gonna cut my dick off. Then they're gonna rip my guts out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit crazy. Yeah, we learned on this podcast. We were talking to a Welsh lady, and she's very much in favor of. Well, I'm not going to put words in her mouth. She was hinting towards that she's in favor of Wales being independent. And Scotland and Ireland are more linked together, like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Their languages and their culture than Scotland and England. And Scotland actually wants they've been fighting for their independence still.
Good.
Yeah, they're looking forward to getting some independence. All the archers I know from Scotland, they all want independence. So, that might happen soon.
In Edinburgh.
The EU is supporting it so that they can be part of the EU.
Good.
But yeah.
I like Scotland too, except I haven't seen as much of it as Ireland.
Ireland's small, you'll find everything.
And Scotland was freezing. God, it's so cold.
Oh, it's frozen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the Scottish people are great fun.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they say Irish Gaelic and Scottish Gaelic are two different languages, but I speak Irish Gaelic and
no way.
You understand it nearly completely. They use old terms that we would have used.
Can you speak some? I've never heard this. I mean, this is
Spotlight's on Jared.
What can I say? Sorry, I can't think of what you say. Digwich Gachtainna, Fáilte Rashkadi on podcast, Cunas Tashiv, Tá Farsha, Jack Settipane, Agus Tashi and Shutlin, Kun Kind Fui. I can't think of film in Irish. But yeah.
Wow.
I doubt that made any sense to you.
I loved it. I really, really enjoyed that. That was beautiful.
I basically said, hello, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm joined with a very special guest, Jack Settipane, and he's here to talk to us about, and then I lost the word.
Wow. Yeah, speaking to my soul.
Nice.
Is that how you pick up ladies at the bar?
They're all Irish. They speak Irish.
They speak some Gaelic
line right there.
It was actually a dying language. Only like 1.7% of the population speaks it.
Oh my
in
God.
Ireland. So it's on the way out.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's it. You hardly speak any other language, do you?
Well, let's be honest. I'm an American, so I only.
Well, you guys speak Spanish.
Do I speak a little Spanish? Very little. Very little.
Italian.
Un poquito.
I don't know what that
probably
means.
not even right. Yeah, I know. I speak very little Spanish.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's like I was raised in. You got to learn it when you're fucking grown up, right? I mean, it's really hard to learn a language after that. And I was raised in Rhode Island, so far away from
civilization.
Mexico. Just got the Canadians up there. I could speak Canadian, you know.
We not speak French?
French Canadian. Yeah, I know. I can say merci beaucoup.
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui. Un petit déjeuner. So lunch, right? The little dinner.
Love the French.
Yeah, I had a French boss one time.
How'd that go?
No way.
Very matter-of-fact people.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I think we've had some good talks.
Yeah.
I think that about covers everything. What do you think?
I think we covered too
A
many
lot.
topics.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we finish up?
I mean, we'll save it for next time.
Exactly. Now you're not an influencer yet, but maybe one day. If people want to follow you and want to check you out, sorry, no. If people want to follow you and check you out, where can they find you?
Instagram at Jack Settipane, just my name, and we got a YouTube channel. If you just type my name in YouTube, you'll see it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make sure to link that below, and if people want to check you out, they can.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It was a real pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I mean, it was great. Got my Irish ancestry is waking up. Just,
that's it. You go into the pub now later and you'll be buying a pint of Guinness. Okay, I'll leave you with a couple of words of Irish. Any words you want to learn in Irish before you leave?
What do I want to learn in Irish? Hey, beautiful. How are you? Something like that. It's a good pickup line, right? For the 1% who know Gaelic, those girls.
Irish is kind of Shakespearean, so that doesn't make any sense. Best way you could say it is "Díag what you calling Kunstatasu."
I can't say that. Well, I'm gonna stick with English.
Okay.
I wish I could speak other languages, but I can't.
Can you say this? Dia?
Dio?
Dia.
Dia.
I'll type it in here if you can see it.
Okay, great.
Can you say that?
Dia.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Next.
Dia do it.
Diagwich.
Dia which.
Perfect. That's hello.
He's a natural.
Dia which. Oh wow.
This.
And an Irish thing we say to people all the time, it means an expression of love, is Pog Mahone. No.
You're busting with me.
No, yeah, I am. Pog Mahone means
else.
kiss my ass. And we say it to people all the time.
So if someone is pissing you off, you say Pog Mahone.
Pog Mahone.
It's a catchy phrase, Pog Mahone.
Yeah.
Pog Mahone. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Anyway, I'm not going to torture you with hello, kiss my ass. Yeah. I'm not going to torture you with any more Irish. So thanks for getting on. Stick around, we'll talk a bit at the end. To anyone watching, thanks a million. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell your grandma about the podcast if you want. And have a great day.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe hearing more from the other host someday. We'll
Part 2 is to
talk
come.
more.